Welcome to our special oversized 25th anniversary episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Collectors Community live for your viewing pleasure, everybody. Here we go. Spider-Man, just whatever a spider can. Spins a web in his eyes, catches thieves just like flies. Yeah, here comes the Spider-Man. This is strong, this is good. He's got radioactive blood. Can't sleep from a thread to the hood. Over here, there goes the Spider-Man. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to this special live episode. We thought we'd change it up a little bit for the 25th episode, seeing as, whenever comics has a 25th issue, it's like some special oversized celebration of some sort. Something big happens. So we said, what the hell? Let's throw out a live episode for you guys whenever we hit that 25 or 50 or 75 type milestone, as long as we keep this show going. Welcome to Comic Shop Talk. I'm your host, Nico, and joined with me today, as always, is Chris. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? Big milestone event here, 25 episodes, 25 weeks.
Yeah,
not bad.
Hopefully we can also close out this series tonight with the Leafs versus Tampa. That's right. We got the games on in the background. We're keeping track of this. We got our jerseys on, guys. We're still moving forward with the show. We're doing our thing, but we have to got to pay attention to this series as well. We're Leaf fans, and we're hoping that they close out the series tonight and move on. So, but we're also here to discuss the new comics for the week of May 11th, 2022 for you guys. We're going to be talking about the books here today, giving you our thoughts and reviews on them and some other kind of talk here as well today. Free Comic Book Day just passed this past week, so we'll be chatting about that a little bit further along in the show. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit that like button, that thumbs up, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of when these shows come out weekly. Normally they come out on Saturdays. That is the day we usually drop. But whenever we do one of these live episodes, we'll post about it. If it's something like a special occasion, or me and Chris are recording in person or something like that, we switch it up time to time. If you want to be notified and you don't want to miss that, make sure you hit that notification bell. And a spoiler warning, because we are going to be talking about the books here today. We're going to give you our thoughts on these books. We're going to be talking about what happens in the books. Sometimes we're going to spoil things. Sometimes we're going to avoid trying to spoil big things for you as well. We keep that in mind. But if not, check the show notes as always below the video. I always put those there for you guys so you can help navigate throughout our conversations. If there's something you want to avoid, read your books, then come back. Check out our playlist. We got all kinds of comic content here on the Late Night Collectors Community. More stuff coming out. I think next week we got a couple of different videos coming out. And so, yeah, stay tuned. All right, though, Chris. That all being said, this 25th special episode here today, the Leafs are playing. Say your thing, man.
All right, let's talk comics.
Let's talk comics, folks. All right, here we go. First up on the docket, we got Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War, #1. Big release. If you've been following, I guess, either of these series, they've been teasing this for the last few months. #1. This is the alpha issue, 1 of 5. I think it's then going to cross over in between the Hulk and Thor books, which Donny Cates is both writing right now. And then they'll have like a Omega or whatever issue to cap it off, I would guess, of this. So go ahead, Chris. What did you think of this one?
I thought it was pretty good. You get some info. We got some background info for new people that are coming into this series on both what's been going on with Hulk and Thor. And you get some information about this El Paso incident that I kind of forgot about. Mm-hmm. And this issue is kind of crazy, I thought, but it's my kind of crazy, and I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you started off the comic with a Watcher. I'm there. I'm already happy. Like, I love that. Like, I love the Watcher. Starting off an issue with the Watcher with his popcorn, ready to watch this epic battle. This showdown.
Something's going down.
Yeah, I mean, which they referenced is not the first time that it's happened in Marvel history, because it's happened many a times. But this one, they're saying, this is a little bit different this time. And yeah, I thought this was good. It probably wasn't as great as I was expecting, because I set the bar pretty high for this one. But to your point, that's because they rehashed a lot of the events that have already been happening in each of these characters' books leading into this. So that's not really a bad thing. It brings people into this little semi-event between the books. If you're a new reader, you hop on. This gives you all you need to know. As you can tell, there's interesting things happening in both books. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just for me, as someone who reads those series, I'm even more so looking forward to the next issue the way this one ended, if you know what I mean. Like, this was good. But like, yeah, it's zany though, man. They go into like a cartoon world. There's like Adventure Time and like old Disney shit.
Is that like a thing at Disney or something when they go there?
Yeah, I mean, like that looks like an old Disney character right there, right? And then that person, an Adventure Time type of character. So yeah, like they kind of got these like versions of cartoons. They're fighting in like a weird cartoon land that they fall on, and then hijinks ensue from there. And then there's like a video game page where it looks like it's like a a video game like fights. Yeah, like right here, round one.
Yeah.
And they got all their
just set up like a video game, like a Street Fighter or something.
Yeah, that was cool. I liked this a lot. The art was okay. I mean, this artist's not the normal artist, I think, on either of those books, and not as good, I found, but still it was decent enough. Like, but it worked for this issue with some of the things that were going on. Like, it was cartoony enough. I think that it worked for what they were trying to portray in this. So it had some fun stuff going on for sure. I did dig it. How about that ending though, Chris? We don't have to talk about it, but interesting ending. I mean, I am looking forward to it.
I like, but even the fight in between, they kind of took some big moves off the table already, with not being able to lift Thor's hammer. You thought Thor had him already freaking kind of wrapped up, and then the way he gets out of it was even crazier.
Yeah. So there's a lot of baggage these two characters have right now going on leading into this event, this fighting. Like, these guys, I think the last thing they need to do or we're wanting at this point in time is to fight each other. But where we left Hulk in the last issue, where he got zipped away into like, I don't know, like another universe or something. This is where he ended up. He fell and collided with Thor right after the current events of Thor that happened. We talked about last issue, his father being in the hammer. So we talked about that last episode, so I have no problem mentioning that here. But so that's a whole thing as well in and of itself. But still, Banner is still messing around inside of Hulk's head. Like, he's inside of his head. He's the one directing this ship, right? So like that makes for an interesting dynamic as well between the two of these
characters. I think it's funny too with both Thor talking to his hammer and Hulk talking to Ben, or Bruce Banner talking to Betty, and they're both kind of like, they're the only ones that hear, and they're like, "Who are you talking to?" It's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
That was a little nice, fun play there.
It is. Yeah. No, it's pretty fun. I'm looking forward to the next one. Just smash them up action type fun. Good issue. Good, not great. I think, like I said, I was expecting this is going to be the best thing ever, just because the way they've been hyping up this fight. I feel like, but it was a solid issue for sure.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the facilitations for the future. There's some crazy stuff that it looks like it's going on in the covers.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen them. That's all.
Okay. I mean, I won't say anything about them, but they look super crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the next one, especially because of the way this one ended. So, what'd you give this, Chris?
I'll give it a 4. Like you say, it wasn't like top of the shelf there, but I think it's a good start to this.
My thoughts exactly a 4 for sure. Yep. All right. Next up, Jurassic League #1, another kind of smash 'em up fighting comic with big monsters, and this is a reimagining of the Justice League as dinosaurs. There's dinosaurs that they're referring to as somewhat like superheroes, but not really, and they haven't really formed together. They're kind of they're in the Jurassic Age or whatever, and they're showing these dinosaurs throughout the book. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's sort of seemed to live with the humans. I didn't think humans were going to be in this at all, but
no.
Yeah, so I don't know.
What'd you think?
But I guess this will have to do for the Justice League now, with the Justice League being dead. This is what we got: dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I thought it was a nice intro for the heroes and the villains. Some of them were okay. I like the Joker villain. Was it the Joker Zord or Jokerzard?
Yeah. He spits acid.
Some of the names right there were pretty, I don't know, out there, I guess. I don't know, like Black Mantisaurus.
Yeah, Black Mantisaurus. My favorite was the Aquaman one, because it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then there's like a Wonder Woman one. That one was kind of lame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how jacked that guy is. The art's ridiculous. Like, I like it. It's wacky, very weird, angular, cartoony looking art, but it's like, yeah, the art's by Juan Gideon. It's not drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson, who I'm a big fan of, but he is the one who's co-writing it with Juan Gideon, so I think it's a good trade-off. Yeah, this guy right here. It just so here's my thoughts on this, Chris. I literally wrote this down. I'm like, so dumb, so fun, more dumb than fun. I don't know, because at times when I was reading this, and I like a good stupid dumb kind of reimagining thing that's fun. Don't get me wrong, I like it. I don't know if it's maybe the mood I was in when I was reading this, but at times I was like, I'm not completely sold on this, and then something would happen, I'm like, that's so stupid, and then like something else would happen, I'm like, that's hilarious. Like, I would just like,
Yeah,
so it was fun. Like, I think I overall enjoyed the experience, but by the end of it, if I'm being honest, I don't know if I'm sold if I'm going to continue with the series or not. And I don't want to jump the gun before my rating here. I don't know. I might stick with it. I was actually curious as to, like, you know, because we're trying to go about things maybe in a better way now in terms of like continuing with stuff, especially this being a 6-issue miniseries. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think you're going to stick around for this one or what?
it kind of reminds me of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Even like the narration was kind of like so everything's so grim, or like when they're talking about whatever the Batasaurus or whatever they call him in the beginning. It's like, oh, he's hunting and blah blah blah.
Right.
But I don't know. It's only 6 issues. I might see where it goes.
There's the Wonder Woman. There's the Superman, Super Sore.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna stick with it too. But there was some times where I was just like, this is so tough.
like I think the crazy just might get ramped up as this goes on.
I'm hoping so, because this was kind of like getting the
Like
best.
this is just an introduction of the characters.
Yeah,
Like what if that's a couple new characters at the end that they're, I guess, teasing or something. I'm not sure who they were supposed to be, but I will see how it goes.
this likewise, like the other book. Again, this was a highly anticipated book for me this week, and I think it just didn't meet the mark in that sense. But I think that I learn to embrace just like what it is and kind of what I'm looking forward to this book being, I think I'll have a lot of fun with it as well. Not that I didn't have fun with this. It was fun, but it wasn't like, again, like I wasn't like, wow, this is the best thing ever. And because at times I was like, this is so dumb. And then I would like see some illustrations of like the Jack dinosaur, like superheroes. I'm just like, I'm like, that's pretty awesome. It was fun, man. I did like it. So this was cool. When he throws the batarang into his eye and it goes into, yeah. So what'd you give this one then, Chris?
I'll give it a 3.5. It was nothing crazy. I wasn't really expecting all that much out of this to begin with. And but it was fun, and like I say, I'll see how it goes.
I'm also gonna give it a 3.5. Yeah, I'm right there with you again, man, on this one. Yeah, I'm gonna take a flyer on it. I think I'm gonna try out the second issue. I'll see how that one goes, and then that will probably make my decision on with that second issue, because I want to give it one more because I thought it was a fun idea. I'm not completely sold as of yet, but let's see what the next issue brings. Like you said, I think it could go some pretty interesting places after they've set everything up, and if they all come together in the next issue, these dinosaur things.
Yeah, they got to come together. They got to come together against something pretty big. So you never know who the big bad's going to be. In this.
Yeah. So there you go. So 3.5 for both of us. All right, Chris. Next up, you got some Scorched. Got my sweat rag ready too, because I'm in this room with this jersey on.
Getting a little spicy in here too. We got Scorched. Which one is this? 5. Yeah, so this one's kind of moving along. The Spawn group there gets tested by the Devourer, and I don't know, Plague Spawn is up to something in there. So this one, I still not quite sure what's going on again in all these Spawn issues. Just so many characters in there, but it still looks nice. Nice cover there with She Spawn doing what she does. And the thing is, I don't even know what they do really either. These Spawns, and it just leads me into the next one that I'm gonna go over Spawn again. But for this one here, I'll give it a 3.5, and maybe I'll still follow this one. Still see where it goes.
I thought, because I think last time, was this the one that you said you were dropping, or one of the only ones you think?
Well, I've been kind of dropping all the other Spawn issues, but I picked a few up just because it's been light weeks, and if they're on the stand,
yeah,
I'd pick it up.
This is actually, I think, one of the ones you said you were going to stick with. I think last.
Yeah, I think I like this one the best out of. Well, this one Gunslinger was pretty good, but they got to get more normal kind of stories, not all this freaking, I don't know what's going on. It's hard I don't even know where the story ended from and where it's going to. It's hard to kind of connect all the issues.
Right. So what'd you give this one then, Chris?
I'll give that a 3.5.
Okay.
Nothing great. And then next that leads me to Spawn 329. And it's a bit of history about the Redeemers in here, especially Forsaken. And a lot of talk about heaven and hell. And once again, like I say, it's hard to follow who's who and what's what. And there's a whole bunch of other spawns come in here. They got to really stop calling everybody, Centurion Spawn. Every time they bring a new character, they just put a new name in front of it, just put Spawn at the end and like Giant Spawn, and kind of differentiate the characters. But it's still a nice looking comic in there. It's okay to read, but all the characters start to seem generic, and like all those Redeemers, they came out there. They're supposed to be, I guess, heaven's answers to the hell spawns or something. It's just, and then there's some Earth group in there that's trying to do something. I don't know. Once again, if I see, if they got a cool cover or something, or if I hear something big's going on, I might try and jump in again. But once again, it was a slow week and it was on the rack, so I picked it up. And $2.99, can't go wrong with that either. I'll give that a 3.5.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like it's just it's hard to there's always a lot of heaven versus hell type shit going on that you're
like, maybe I gotta get a bunch of the issues together and just read them back to back, and I might have a better idea of who's who, even, like.
I mean, they're chugging along though. 329. I remember just like I felt like it was just the like this past year that they hit issue 300, and it must have been a couple of years ago, I guess, because now they're already at 329.
But it seems like the story hasn't changed in like these 300 issues.
That's the thing.
Like, there's still angels fighting. They're trying to get the I don't know, the hellspawn to open up the dead zones, and I don't freaking know. Like, this just seems to be like, no, I don't know what the battle is.
Yeah, that's another story.
Or who's winning or who's losing. But it looks nice while they do it.
Yeah. Good art has never been the issue, I think, for the most part in the Spawn universe, right? Anyways, okay, next up. Crossover 13. We got that one here. Let's see here. All right. So crossover 13. This is the issue, I guess, before they're going to take a break, and then they're going to come out with that 3D issue number 1 of crossover, which I've sadly bought into, and it's got 10 new pages of story. So that'll be coming. I'll be talking about that on the show, and it's a 3D issue with 3D glasses of the issue number 1, just with the 10 extra pages. So that should be interesting. But yeah, as you can see in this issue, it's a very, I mean, crossover is a very meta series to begin with, but this is in this issue, Donny Cates, the writer who writes this, who's now in the book, is dying in his own story, and the characters and events that are happening around him are concerned, even as they're trying to take him out, because Negan really fucks him up in this issue. Who also killed Robert Kirkman in a couple issues ago, right? Or maybe it was the last one. But yeah, he's dying, and they're like, well, we don't really know what's gonna happen next. And then he uses it as a really great way of talking about, like, making it like, as he's narrating it himself, of him dying in the book, and like this book wasn't supposed to be about this and everything else, and it was supposed to, he starts getting into his personal kind of story, which I've heard a little bit about Donny Cates before. I guess he made it big in comics. Like, he was still like an alcoholic and drug addict. I guess he was still doing drugs and alcohol, maybe, and he, I guess, he ended up in the hospital. And then I guess when he got out of the hospital, he ended up writing God Country, which is arguably, guys, if you've never read that, it's probably the best thing he's ever done. It's like only like a 5 or 6 issue miniseries that he did for Image, but it's a very personal kind of story. And the sword that's in this story in crossover, that's alive, like it talks, is from that story, God Country. But there's a lot of personal kind of stuff, like about life and death and stuff, I think, in that story that he told, God Country. So he actually talks about it in this issue, about how he ended up in the hospital, and how when he got out, he wrote that story because he wanted to write something that meant a lot to him, and that he wanted to kind of tell a bit about himself in it, and how much it meant to him, and how much comics have meant to him. And as he's kind of sitting around dying here, he looks around and he sees all the characters that have showed up in the crossover books so far that were characters and comics that he created, like creator owned stuff outside of Marvel, and like how much it means to him, and how that kind of was like the breakthrough in his life. And then he went and found a woman, a woman that he loved, and he got married. Like, so like that, it's like, it got very personal and interesting and kind of introspective. Like, it was very good like that. I was like, and this has always been a book where the writer is talking about himself in the comics being real and this meta type of stuff. But by the end of it, he's like, well, I guess this is it. He's like, what? No, comics aren't just based off the writer telling stories. There's another part to this medium, the artist. And then it has a full page where it's like, they're gonna kill Jeff Shaw, the artist of this comic. So then I'm just like, oh, that's great. Now they're gonna go after the artist, and the artist is gonna have to draw this himself depicted in this book, and how he's getting now chased down, I guess, and they're coming to kill him. So yeah, it's been an interesting story so far. I think it's been a very good book. It's definitely not for everybody, but I think if you're a fan of the writer, or more personal stories, or even some zany stuff where you see a bunch of different comic book characters show up, a meta story like that where things like that are happening, and it's a little bit tongue in cheek, where you're kind of like, okay, it's a little bit, it's a guy writing himself into the book even, right? So like, for some people, they might think that's really stupid. I think it's a very fun book, and I thought this was a really great issue. So I gave this a 4.5. Yeah, good issue. Looking forward to the next one and where they go from here. I don't think this is a series that can go on forever, though, but I guess we'll see, because as we know it right now in the book, I think it looks like Donny Cates died by the end of this issue. So, I guess Jeff Shaw is going to be drawing. I don't know if there's going to be writing in the next issue. Maybe he's just going to tell it through art. I don't know. It should be interesting, but they've done a lot of very experimental things in this book. I remember in like issue 7, Chip Zdarsky showed up in the book as himself, and he actually wrote the book, and he brought in another artist to draw the issue for like one issue. So it's just weird. They've done like kind of like little fun things like that. So you gotta, like, within their industry friends and whatever, right? So if you're kind of not into comics, or maybe behind the scenes type stuff, some of this gimmicky shit they've been doing in this book may not be appeal to you, right? But Spawn shows up, like, what I mean? There's Negan from The Walking Dead. There's something for everybody in a way. If you're a fan of comics, check this book out. Honestly, crossover has been great. And then we got 8 Billion Genies, number 1. This is interesting premise, great cartooning. Ryan Brown is the artist. Charles Soule, who they've worked together on a couple of series prior to this, creator own stuff through Image. I've never been a huge fan of the stuff that they've done prior to this. I think they did a book called Curse Words that I tried. I couldn't really get into. I ended up reading the whole thing. It was fine. It wasn't my favorite thing. I really like the artist more so. He's done a lot of things where he's written and drawn that I've really liked it. This is basically it shows what would happen if all the 8 billion people in the world all of a sudden, for whatever reason, ended up with their own personal genie. And instead of having 3 wishes, they have 1 wish. So it seems like a simple premise, but if you think about how chaotic it would get as a result of everybody having a single wish, and like seeing the shit hit the fan all over the world, there was a result of that. It seems like it's going to progress into a very interesting story. By the end of this issue, there's already a lot of crazy shit happening. And all of a sudden, like, they're all standing around in this bar, and these fucking genies appear. These are how the genies look. And they're like, oh, we're genies. You each got your own wish. And then within the first 8 minutes, and then you see a bunch of stuff happen within the first 8 minutes. And then by the end of the issue, they're like, next issue is going to be everything within the first 8 hours. And then the next one after that, because I heard what this story was going to be about. It's going to be like, 8 months, 8 years. Like, it's going to keep going like that. Hence the 8 billion genies thing. I guess it's going to go all the way to 8 billion years or something like that. I would guess it's an 8-issue series, but I'm kind of out after the second issue. I've pre-ordered the second one, and I think I'm going to call it quits on that. It was okay. Basic setup of an issue, interesting premise. But I think I might just revisit it when it gets all collected as a trade paperback. I have no interest to continue reading it like this, I find. So I'll be talking about the second issue. I got the pre-order ready. This one itself, I gave 3.5. So there you go.
Nice.
All right. And oh, no, got the screen back up for this one. X-Men 11. All right. Very nice. Gotta love some mojo.
That's it. Can't go wrong with that.
No. All right, Chris, what did you think of this issue?
I thought it was a pretty good, solid comic all around. I like the action on the game world. I liked Cyclops in the sewer. No one's acting like a douche in there. Nothing felt like it was filler. And it just, it's an interesting story moving at a good pace.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wrote down some big fights, some big moments. The only thing I would say about the current storyline in this X-Men book, although it's nice because it's different than all the other X-Men books going on right now, and it is the main X-Men title, is that it is kind of a little bit all over the place. They got a lot of balls in the air right now. So like in that sense, it kind of, I would say it lacks a bit of focus, but a lot of the things that are going on are interesting. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just realized with this issue, I'm like, there's a lot going on right now, like with all the characters, right? But
yeah, well, that's what it all takes them away, and they're all just, it's all one focused on one thing, or what, two things, I guess. But
yeah,
so you don't kind of get lost in some story about, the politics and all that sort of stuff.
yeah. I great art as always in this series. I gotta say, this series though is making me really enjoy Cyclops, which I'm not a huge Cyclops fan. Like he's fine, but between like him as his Captain Krakoa, he has some. The moment with him at the end of this issue is great. Like you said, the sewer. I'm like, that is a great moment. Between that and the moment where he saved that kid a couple of issues back, and then that guy killed, like he had to go killed him, and now he's trying to chase him down. Awesome. Like he's had some great character redeeming moments. And at first we thought it was so lame, that fucking Captain Krakoa thing, but they're making it work.
It's working. I think I'm liking it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's a mojo. Yeah, I'm here for this, man. I really like this series too. I agree with you. It's a good solid series. What'd you give it?
Yeah, I give this a 4.
I was gonna give it a 3.5, but you're selling me on this, Chris. You're selling me. I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon with you. I'm gonna say 4 as well. Yeah, because I just remembered a couple of the big moments that happened, even like while flipping through this. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That was pretty awesome. Okay, I'm with you, Chris. Good job.
Like, if you compare this to the craziness of X lives and X deaths and all that, that's like 10 times better than what's going on or what happened there.
Agreed 100%. Yep. All right, next up.
All right, Wonder Woman. Basically, I just bought this one for the cover.
Ooh, nice cover. Let's take a look at that.
And
nice. Yeah.
I don't know, she loses her legs though, but anyways. And this is the aftermath, I guess, of the Amazon war, or the trials of the Amazon, and I kind of fell off during that trial there, so I don't really know how things turned out. She just went in to fill up some loose ends, and then I guess she went back to DC or wherever she lives in when she kind of goes back to the land of man. And I think Steve Trevor, and there's some other guy, Siegfried. I don't know who he is, but he seems to be like a fish out of water sort of person. Okay. Nothing great going on there, and it didn't really sell me to want the next issue, but they got a nice cover. Maybe I'll buy it, but I have no plans to follow this through.
Yeah.
And I'd give it a 3. Nothing good. Or nothing crazy going on there.
All right. Next up, we got Red Room. Got large things. There we go. Large pictures. Red Room trigger warnings number 3. That's a pretty awesome cover.
I thought the trigger warning was there because it triggered you.
Red Room trigger warnings number 3. Really awesome cover by Ed Piskor, written by him. Does everything in here. Yeah. So this was a great issue. It's juggling a lot of different themes. It kind of delves into cryptocurrency in this, and like, because this has been a book about murder on the dark web, they kind of get into a story that they're telling about somebody who was given like a flash drive, like these stories that you hear about in the news. Is that he was given a flash drive when it was a new a form of currency, threw it in a drawer because it never went up in value over a year or two. And now, like 10 years later, when cryptocurrency is worth a lot, this guy has like $10,000 worth of cryptocurrency, which is worth like millions or whatever they were saying in this, on the flash drive. It's like in his drawer with all this Nintendo stuff. Here's old school gaming shit, as you can see. And then he unearths it, years later, and he's trying to figure out how to like this guy gave it to him for like the price of a pizza or something like that. And he, you know, he believed in the idea of it. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. What the hell? I'll pay for this pizza then. I'll take it, whatever. You know, I'll try it out. And now he can't remember the password to unlock it. So you've heard about this. There's been real stories like this about
Yeah, it
people.
seems to be based on like from a few different of the crypto stories that are out there. You know, like the guy that bought a pizza with crypto, and somebody that had a shit ton when there's only like 10 chances or something to
Exactly.
unlock it, and then it just self destructs.
And every time you get it wrong, it like you can't try the password again for like another like year or something like that. So
Yeah,
that happens. That happens. That exact story happens. And he writes about it in the back of the issue. The ideas that kind of helped like him think of like what to do in this particular issue, like a lot of the themes and stories that he took and kind of made and put it into this world. And he talks about that, like that actually happened. And that's why it kind of inspired me to write this type of thing. And yeah, so that's all very interesting. That's kind of fascinating to me. I thought that was really interesting. And then like he goes and tries to give it to somebody that can unlock it for him, and he steals it from him. And then he makes his way to this weird like island where there's like a cult kind of following on the island, and they have like they're making like sacrifice like ritual type shit's going on. And he goes there. And I don't know if you ever seen like the Wicker Man movie, but there's like a Wicker Man like type of structure that's on the actual island when he gets there, and people are being right there. People are being tortured. And like this guy's like there's like life-size like slingshot torture mechanisms and stuff. Like there's a lot of crazy ideas in this book. Like this is a dark book already to begin with, but like in this one, like he threw like 7 different kind of really weird, crazy ideas in here, like things that he kind of came across. And like Jeff Bezos is sending packages to this weird like island, and like their like packages are like falling out of the sky, and like and like they're broadcasting all this kind of shit again on the dark web, this weird fucking killing island that they have, right? That has like this cult on it. And a couple of characters that were from earlier stories actually pop back up again in this issue. So yeah, it's coming kind of full circle. Some of the crazy things that are happening in this was a very, very good issue. Possibly my favorite of both of the Red Room miniseries he's done so far. So I give this 4.5. I thought this was really, really good, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's a pretty dark book, guys. So, be forewarned on that one. And lastly, we got Farmhand number 17. Again, this was a great issue. In this one, the main character is going around administering some sort of experimental like drug or something, or cure for basically the mutations, these plant mutations that are happening to people. Now, people got these plant transplant essentially things for any body part that they were like growing out of some weird garden in this story. That's kind of what it's been about. But now it's backfiring, and we're seeing the after effects years later of all this shit like happening to these people. And anybody that actually got a transplant of any type of body part that was like made out of this plant material it's backfiring, and their whole body is mutating. So that's kind of we're seeing the fallout of all this story that we've been leading up to this whole time in the series. And so it's probably got about several issues I think left to go, the guys said. So it's going in an interesting direction. Really great surprise ending, great cartooning as always by Rob Guillory. He wrote and they just scored. No, they didn't. Tampa did. Fuck. I saw his goal in the corner of my eye. I'm like, yeah, no. Fuck you, Tampa. I think that's what we're gonna have to call this episode. So there you go. I gave this a 4. Solid issue.
Way to get in and out there.
Yeah, I'm done. All right, guys. So I quickly just want to do some quick hits here. About Free Comic Book Day was this past weekend. Actually, let's talk to Chris about this first. Chris, if you want to show off some of the books you picked up, because we went out and supported our comic book stores on Free Comic Book Day, as you should. And I was able to pick up some of the free offerings. Chris, actually, I guess, was probably able to take advantage of a sale, I'm hoping, and picked up some variants here today. You wanted to show off for you guys. So let's
yeah, it wasn't really much of a sale, but it did go up to my local comic shop. They had a lot of back issues that were kind of still on the shelf. So the Amazing Spider-Man #1, the Gleason variant, or one of the Gleason variants. So that was cool. It was still out there. And they had some Dynamite comics there. I got Draculita #3.
Ah, nice. Cheesecakey.
Cheesecakey, some issues I missed last week, but Spider-Man 2099 Exodus.
Oh, nice.
I picked up the Flashpoint there, so I got to read what's going on in there.
Tell me how that
Yep.
Spider-Man 2099 is actually when you read that. I'm interested to hear how that is.
That's not too bad. That's like an alpha issue, so there's stuff going on. But I think I got a first Punchline cover.
Ooh.
And that's an art term too, what I think. It's Batman 92.
Yeah, nice pickup.
So that was nice there. It wasn't, it was crazy expensive. I think it was $7 or something like that. And then I got some Dynamite Never Dies. This is kind of like a Dynamite crossover. That's one cover there, 2 on the back.
Yeah, very nice.
3, I think it's the person that wrote the Marvel Zombies, because this is about zombies too. Zombies come to Earth. Tarzan's in there. They go to Mars, and it's kind of follows the John Carter of Mars. Maybe not John Carter, but some of those characters out there too. And it's not too bad. Fun read.
They do have the rights to John Carter 2 Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they do. There's like Tarzan, and I don't know, it's Delia Thorne or something. I don't know, but that's fun read. Nice cover. So thought I'd pick them up.
You've also already read all those. Like, there's some good stuff there, yeah, or like.
Yeah, it's a good read. Nothing crazy, but just some fun reads.
Nice. No, very nice. Some nice covers there. Yeah. So as I mentioned, hopefully you guys were able to go out and support your comic book stores here. So they also give out, they participate and give out free comics as well on Free Comic Book Day. So I just wanted to do some quick hits, just mention a few of the ones that I picked up that I think were standouts, at least of the stuff that I've read so far. But these ones are just more so like the big DC Marvel kind of Image type releases that came out. There was a lot of other stuff that came out too. Great all age comics, manga, all kinds of great things this year. I think the all age stuff was actually, it looked like it was even better than some of the offerings for like the teens and up type stuff. But yeah, there's some good things. So this is basically a lot of the Free Comic Book Day stuff too. You'll see, guys, are either reprints or they're basically preludes like to events like events that are going to happen throughout the summer, right? So this is one of the Marvel offerings, and this is going to be the Judgment Day, basically preview of the set, like a sort of setup of sorts for the event that's going to be happening between Avengers, X-Men, and Eternals that me and Chris are both going to be checking out, that we've talked about on the show here. So I'll just flip through a couple of pages here with some of the art. So yeah, I just said great art. Lining up all the players. I'm interested, and I'm actually looking forward to it. So yeah, this is an event I'm looking forward to. I like a lot of the people involved. And this wasn't that huge of a setup where it didn't give you too much, but it just gave you enough to kind of show off maybe some of the major players that are going to be involved in this, and leave a lot to probably still be explained throughout that first issue or prelude issue or alpha, whatever the hell they're going to do for this event. Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, great art, interesting. It's interesting because Kieran Gillen, the writer of this, is going to be doing the event. It was funny. He made an actual, he made a comment. he made like one of the narration boxes said, the Avengers and X-Men have fought before. And there was an event called Avengers versus X-Men years ago that he was one of the writers involved in it. But they're like, but it was done wrong or something. I was like, are you actually commenting on the event? Yeah, it was just funny. You could take it more than one way. I just found that part funny about it. So yeah, that was the Judgment Day. Then you got the Spider-Man Venom issue. This was interesting. You had a little bit of the stuff that will lead into the Venom series, as well as Spider-Man. And then they had like 2 or 3 pages of this all-out Avengers, which that was pretty crap. Nothing special there. But the Spider-Man was interesting. It's got the same team that's on Spider-Man #1, Zeb Wells, John Romita Jr. on art. There was a monster mailbox that attacks somebody that Spider-Man goes and saves. And then afterwards, you find out that this is a setup because the person that I guess is controlling this monster mailbox is none other than the Goblin Queen and Chasm, Ben Reilly, the villain now, that are going to be.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I heard that. I heard they're going to be kind of teaming up for something.
Dark Web. So I think that's going to be trickling into the main Spider-Man book.
Nice. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And then in Venom, it looks like Eddie Brock's going to be coming back here. Like he's kind of still in the mix. Good. I remember you saying that. And look at this, Chris. Again, I haven't been reading all of Venom, but by the end of this, I don't know what the hell's going on, but there's a lot of Venom action with like every
Yeah, that
single
looks like it's that they're in
Venom.
that Garden of Eden or whatever, where all these I think those are all King and Blacks.
Mm-hmm.
Or former King and Blacks or something like that spread page where there's a whole bunch of them there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess they're gonna be fighting or something, whatever.
Yeah. So this says to be continued this year in Venom. So yeah, look forward to that. So that looks interesting. That was a good pickup from Marvel. Some good stuff there. Then you had oh sorry, I've been putting these up. Then you got Dark Crisis. So this issue is kind of focused. This is again a setup for Dark Crisis. This was focused on the legacy of these characters. They told like a little, story about the legacy of these characters as someone's taking them through like the Justice League Museum, kind of going over all, different ages of the Justice League, how there's been different teams, how they've kind of overcome a lot of shit. This was a better setup or at least sense of the Justice League leading into the Dark Crisis than the friggin' Justice League issue was, for fuck's sakes. Like I honestly, as disappointing as that was, because they decided to do it as the last issue of a series and tie into maybe like a bunch of events that maybe happened prior to leading into Dark Crisis. This was a better prelude to Dark Crisis, I felt like, than the Justice League issue we just read, the Death of the Justice League. So if you guys were able to snag this was pretty good. Honestly, I'm actually considering checking out Dark Crisis 1 again, based off of this issue. After Justice League 75, I was like, I don't know about this. This issue.
Yeah, I'm rethinking it too. Like I say, I have the first just Dark Crisis kind of pre-ordered, so we'll see how it goes.
Same here. Yeah, I just pre-ordered the first issue too, but this is good. This was good. And they had the Dark Crisis sneak peek, good art, interesting stuff going on. Yeah, so not bad. So good as a free comic book day offering. And then we got Bone Orchard Mythos Prelude. This is the new Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino book coming out of Image. This was great. This was a single issue of a comic that's like, I guess, setting up this new series that's coming up. And it was a really great issue. Like, I'm not going to be rating these or like using it as part of this week's comics, but if I was, this would actually be in the running probably of my favorite of the week. This was excellent. Really creepy, really scary kind of mystery stuff going on in this book. And the way that they're going to be pumping these books out, these Bone Orchard books or Mythos, I don't know which name they're going with for all the series. They're going to be doing them like in different formats throughout the year. Like one of them is going to just come out as a book, not in issues. Then they're going to come out with a 5-issue mini series. And then like another one's going to come out like another way, they were saying. So they're doing all these interesting things with the release of these different stories in this kind of universe. And then they said that at the end, they're going to collect it in like a nice big hardcover of all them and their stories coming for years to come. And this is a team, Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, who I really, really enjoy. They've worked together since 2012. He mentioned in the back of this issue, which it's been a long ass time, like 10 years. So yeah, I'm on board for this. This is going to be great. And no matter how it comes out, I'm on board for this. So this was another successful, I felt, free comic book day offering. This one, great. And then finally, you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This was interesting. They kind of just retold and drew, like, I guess, an existing story already from the Turtles with the current artist / writer, half of the issue. And then the other half of the issue, they actually did a reprint of the first, I think, Ninja Turtles comic. So a lot of great art and interesting stuff here. If you're a fan of the Turtles, again, this was an interesting pickup here. So hopefully you're able to snag a copy. Look at that. Awesome stuff. So there you go. So those were some of the free comic book day offerings that I read and enjoyed and wanted to feature here on the show today. We hope you guys were able to participate in that. A lot of great stuff out there this year. All right.
Sounds like that free comic thing was pretty popular.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, really popular. So popular you weren't able to get any when you went. all gone by the time you got to the shop. Yeah, I mean, like, Chris, that's the thing. I mean, you'll see people for free comic book day that haven't read a comic in their life. So it's a good thing for that reason. But sometimes people just like free shit. Some people just don't like free shit. Who doesn't love free shit, right? They'll just show up and grab whatever it is. Oh, comics? Yeah, sure. I'll take them. I'll give them the whoever. That's what some of the people were justifying it as when they're showing out. Like, we don't care. But the comics aren't free for the stores, guys. I can't stress that enough. They are obviously way cheaper than they normally would pay for comics, but they do pay a fee for these free comic books because they're free for you, but they use it as a way to kind of lure you into the store, maybe get you into the hobby and get you to spend a few bucks on sales that they're usually doing the day that you come into the store. So try to give back. Don't just go to all the stores and like just take all their free comics and don't actually give anything back. Or if you like what you saw, go back and support them and pick up something new. Ask them what might be interested in, right? Like the comic book stores, good comic book stores are great. Honestly, like I can't say enough of like that's what got me back into the hobby, was a guy that I knew at a comic book store from when I was a kid. I went in there years and years later. He was still there. I'm like, hey, what's good? What's good on the shelves these days? And the guy sucked me back in, and here I am 10 years later, right? So there you go. Miles Morales is what brought me back, actually. Spider-Man. So there you go. The death of Peter Parker. That's what got me in the comic shop when I heard about that. All right, Chris. So for this 25th episode, we thought it'd be cool. And it actually has been 3 months. We said we were going to check back roughly every, 3-4 months and let you guys know about what some of our top 5 current ongoing series are. And then hopefully by the end of the year, we can tell you what our favorite stuff of the year was. So we did this about 3 months ago, roughly. I can't recall, but I think a couple of these books still made my list again from 3 months ago. Nothing has changed. But Chris, why don't you let us know what one of your books was for your top 5 favorite ongoing series at the moment?
Ooh, I know about the favorite, but I'm liking the Hulk a lot.
Hulk, yeah.
And Thor. I'm liking the Batman Shadow War that's going on right now. And I'm curious or interested in what Spider-Man's going to be up to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear a lot of good stuff what's happening there, and I'm still wondering about that stupid explosion that started out this Spider-Man #1. And from everything I read, it doesn't seem to be referenced in anything that's going on, like in any of the solicitations. So we'll see how that plays out. And my big surprise there is the Beyond the White Knight. I'm really liking that right now too.
Yeah, that is great. That is great. I agree. I didn't want to add it because there's only 2 issues in, but you make a strong point. I mean, that's a really good start. Another one that would be a contender, I think, that's only been a couple issues so far, though, is that Batman Superman book. That's been really fucking good so far, too. I've been enjoying that. That's been solid. So what do you have? Hulk, Batman, White Knight?
Thor, Spider-Man, Batman, and Beyond the White Knight.
Yeah.
But there's still it's still good stuff out there. The DC versus Vampires, Dark Knight of Steel. I'm starting to like the X-Men there. I'm looking forward to that Hellfire Gala event. I hear there's some crazy stuff going on in that. Like Mary Jane's involved in that somehow. And see what goes on.
Yeah, she's involved. That's right. We read something this week, I think, where it's involved.
Crazy involved.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, what do I got? I got 5 here as well. I didn't put them in any particular order. Firepower is one of them. This has been great. It's only been about 2 issues since it's come back, but even the issues that led into prior to the break, which probably was around the time that we last did our top favorite books, I got to give it to one of the slots to Firepower for me. Firepower has been awesome. Great art, great fun adventure comic. Always really enjoy it when I pick it up and read it. That's been firing on all cylinders as of lately. Firepower, really good. Still on my list, Dark Knights of Steel. I think it was on my list last time we talked about it, and it's still on my list now.
Yeah, I'm still liking that too. I just didn't want to, I don't know, put it on there. Try and put more series, not so many the mini series or
highlight some more things. I mean, if that's the case, I would even throw, like I said, the Batman's good, Batman, Superman, either of those is really good. But just like you, Chris, I also got Hulk and Thor. Just both really.
I'm liking Donny Cates, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, they got these 2. We talked about the Hulk Thor crossover issue today, guys. Yeah, Donny Cates is just killing it so lately. I think he just knows how to write a good comic book, and like a fun comic book, like a comic booky comic book, like one that's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like reminds you of like comic books and not something that's trying to be very sophisticated and like, you know what I mean? Like it's like just like fun stuff that he puts in those books. He knows the characters. He knows what works. He always has interesting ideas going on in them.
Yeah, they seem to be like new ideas too. It's nothing just kind of rehashed or I don't know, maybe, but it just seems like fresh stuff.
And this might be a bit of a cheat, but for my fifth mention of my favorite ongoing series right now, I'm just gonna say DC Black Label. DC Black Label books have been putting out some of my favorite stuff. I mean, Catwoman, Lonely City, you got Suicide Squad, Blaze, you got Rogues, which I've been loving. I mean, actually, even I think that Batman falls under DC Black Label, even though it's not an oversized issue. It's, I think, one of the DC Black Label line of stuff that they've been putting out. Almost everything I read out of DC Black Label and everything I've read has been pretty good. So, yeah, DC Black Label, I think, is definitely going to make one of my spots. I know that's many books, but pick up any of them, give them a try, guys. There's a lot of great books coming out from DC Black Label. They're just
Well,
able
there's
to.
that Aquaman Andromeda coming up or something, and that seems to be piquing my interest. It's that Ram V. It's supposed some sort of horror story in there.
Yeah, I was
I've
just
been
telling
reading about that. That's Black Label, right?
Yep. Yep. But it is an oversized issue as far as I know, Chris. Because I
I
did
might have to find a really good comic to break me back into the oversized issue. Then I don't know if it could be Aquaman.
I mentioned it when we talked about the DC previews last episode or whatever. I did mention that Andromeda. Yeah, it looks interesting. It's like a horror Aquaman book, right? And I never really read Aquaman, so I was like, yeah, I'll give this a try. Sounds interesting, but yeah, we'll see. But DC Black Label, they're doing out of continuity stories with good creators and good good writers, good artists, and they're just telling interesting stories that are more mature. Some of them, they're able to do things that you're not going to see in your regular, big two stuff. It's like the Vertigo of DC Comics, but for superheroes. Like that, a lot of this stuff now. Like what Vertigo used to be basically turned into DC Black Label, but they're doing stuff that's not all creator owned stuff, but they're doing more mature content with their superheroes, but they're using it as that label of out of continuity storytelling, because a lot of this shit they can't actually put in their regular big two books, like their ongoing series, right? So I get it. I mean, that's fine with me, man. I think that's some of the best stuff coming out of comics, especially out of DC these days, is those fringe books that are kind of telling stories in their own universes. The Batman White Knights, the what do you call it? The Dark Knights of Steel, that stuff, like reimaginings of stuff where they can do whatever the hell they want, right?
Yeah.
So there you have it. All right, Chris.
Okay, for the upcoming comics.
Yeah, man.
See, I got the Elektra Black, White, and Blood 4, Fantastic Four 43, The Immortal X-Men 2, New Mutants 25, Savage Avengers 1, Thor 25. I think that's where the Banner War is going to start up.
Yeah.
I got the World's Finest 3, Catwoman 43, Nightwing 92, and Shadow Warzone 1.
Well, there you go. Those big weeks are back again.
Who knows if I'm going to get them all there, but they should be all around. Those all seem to be pretty basic issues, nothing crazy there.
Yeah. How many for you next week then, if they're all there, those ones?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. It's not too bad.
Yeah. I got Batman Superman World's Finest 3, Batman the Night 5, Black Hammer Reborn 12, which is the last issue of that series, Fantastic Four 43, Immortal X-Men 2, Nightwing 92, Savage Avengers 1, a lot of the ones Chris has too. Shaolin Cowboy, Cruel to Be Kin #1, Thor 25. Sadly, Wolverine Patch #2, because I already pre-ordered it, but that, the first issue was just.
Who knows? Maybe that'll turn into something.
Yeah. And Excellent 3, which is the last issue. I have pre-ordered of that as well. Oh, and also I'll probably read Shadow Warzone online, because I think that's like the wrap up of this event, right? And the Shadow.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Either that or it's like.
I guess it's got to end soon because they're starting the new Batman arcs.
Yeah.
The next few issues. Well, that's too bad.
Might be the end of that. I know you said you just said
it. Firing up there with Respawn dying or whatever. I guess not.
Yeah. So. Yeah, looking forward to that. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, that's what we're looking forward to picking up next week, guys. We talked about what we read this week. Now let's talk about what our favorite book of the week was this week out of all those things.
I know which mine was.
Yeah. Mine wasn't clear to me actually until I started talking about the book, but here we are. So what was yours, Chris?
I got X-Men 11.
Nice. Yeah, good pick.
Nice cover. Nice stories in there. What'd you go with? Oh.
It's a little. It's between these two. Red Room and Crossover. I gotta go with Red Room on this one. Red Room trigger warnings number 3. I almost went with crossover just because, like I said, it was a bit more of a personal issue and a really solid entry in that series. But this one just had a lot of crazy shit going on in it that I was here for and interested in, like the cryptocurrency thing alone. Like I've never read about cryptocurrency in a comic, right? So like the fact that he kind of used that story, in his own way in this story that he's telling in this Red Room, and it's probably my favorite issue of this series so far. I got to give it to that one. So Red Room trigger warnings number 3. Check it out. So yeah, there you go, guys.
Nice.
All right. Well, anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap up here, Chris? We're at 55 minutes. Look at how great we did on time. We're getting good at this, guys. Apparently, we're getting
We've got smaller stacks this week. No, but it's been a fun time doing this. I've been happy, getting some duds, but it's always fun reading comics, even the bad ones. And it's been a good time.
It's especially fun to come here and talk about it with you, because sometimes I have a new appreciation for something after we talk about it, and sometimes we just rip the shit out of something that was really bad.
Well, it's always fun to rip the shit out of stuff too, but I'm trying to avoid just bagging on everybody. But I'm glad there's nothing really to bag on. Like that Spider-Man run is over. That was fun to not like. At least a few of those issues like that.
Yeah.
Still can't get over that monster issue. That has to be like if we have a year-end list, that has to be on there as one of the worst issues. In the middle of not even a good run, but like a bad run, and they bring out some like useless, worthless issue.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
That was bad. I agree. Yeah, you're right. That was probably, I think, the thing that we talked the most shit about on this show ever. We had quite a few beers that day. That was maybe the last time we did it live in person together. I can't recall, but
that was one before, because we did one in between, I think.
That's right. But that was a lot of fun to talk about it just for that reason, because we were both like, what the hell was this? Like, we were just like, yeah, that was bad. That was so bad. Yeah. So that was a beyond issue. Yeah, you're right. I think we're gonna have to highlight that one. It's in the running at the end of the year for worst comic book we reviewed on. It was terrible. It was just like really, really bad. Yeah. Anyways, but that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I do remember that one fondly. Like we're not here to, I agree with Chris. Like I'm not here to be negative about stuff. Like I don't seek out bad comics. I try to read things I enjoy, but every once in a while things like that will happen, and we're going to come here and be honest about it and sometimes have fun talking about them.
Yeah, it's fun to hate things too, but I don't want it to be everything. It's good to like.
No, because I'm really against the kind of the negative fanboy type stuff that happens in this community of comic book fans. There's a lot of that shit already out there, and I don't want to. I don't want to add to it. So I'm not one of those people that like hate read something just for fun, just to talk shit about it on a fucking podcast, right? Like, oh yeah, like this book, then why are you fucking buying it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with you? But that, like, listen, that's how I felt during Spider-Man Beyond. I'm like, I love Spider-Man. I keep buying this book. I can't stop. It happens. So anyways, okay, guys. So we'll that being said, we will see you guys next week. If you check out this show, thank you for checking it out. And this was fun doing it live today. We're gonna root for the Leafs here, even though they're down 1-0. Still 2 periods to go now, just starting the second. So go Leafs, go. Hopefully next week when you see us, hopefully next week when you see us, they'll be in the second round, and we'll be able to talk about that a bit as well. So some hockey talk on the Comic Shop Talk.
Let's see who the superheroes are there.
That's right. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Later.